As the internet age seemingly shrinks the size of the globe, there's a growing awareness of the need to slip through the fiber optic fence, to meet in the flesh, and come to know the human beings and diverse cultures with whom we share this planet. Springing from the experiences of returning college students that had gone abroad to make a difference, World Teach has grown into a non-profit organization that has sent thousands of volunteer teachers to classrooms in the developing world. Since its founding nearly 2 decades ago, World Teach has built a solid reputation as one of the most highly respected volunteer placement organizations of its kind, serving the needs of both host country and individual volunteer. In the next hour, you'll meet several people who have devoted a year or more of their lives to experiencing the world in ways that few people ever have. They have taken the extraordinary journey of a World Teach volunteer. Whether to Africa, Asia, or Latin America, each has a personal story to tell about the power of the World Teach experience to open minds, broaden perspectives, and change lives. Little did they know that one of the lives they changed would be their own.
You know, I got here February 5th or 7th or something into this town. It was a high getting here, getting off the bus, thinking the bus stopped in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, where is my house? He's like, oh, it's over there. And I remember people telling me, you know, you got a great town. You are coming to a great town. And the first month or so that I was here, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, where? I don't understand. Where? What am I missing? Is it me? Is it me that maybe the town doesn't like? When I got here, I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I mean, I thought I was gonna die. I slept under that mosquito net like it was like my lifesaver on a boat. I was so scared, but like I didn't know what to expect. She is the oldest of, let's see, there's 17 kids in her family. She is the oldest female in her family. And so she went to the university, actually. A lot of people don't make it quite that far, but she went to the university for the first year and then decided to come home and help her mom out. So she was kind of the second mom of the house.
A mí me encanta la gente. Me encanta.
I'm delighted by people. I'm enchanted by them. When Maria's friends and colleagues come to visit, I don't feel a bit nervous. No, it doesn't bother me at all, even if I don't have all the food and delicacies that I would like to offer them. No, this is my life. I'm content with my life.
I call her Superwoman. Okay, I want to introduce you to my father. His name is Rafael, but he goes by Chilo. And this is a picture of the 2 oxen that we used to own. My dad uses them for transporting. He's one of the constructors in town, so he used them to transport rocks and wood and everything. And this is a really common thing in our town, is seeing 2 oxen pulling a cart.
Todo el tiempo que sea, y cualquier americano, aquí es bienvenido. Sí, no hay problema.
He says that he loves any kind of American or outsider that comes. actually my first grader, Jose, teaches him. Like when they go kind of work together in the plantations, he teaches him like what I've taught him that day, like animals and colors and numbers. And so my brother is teaching him more than I am. Loneliness was tough at the beginning because I didn't feel like I could walk out into this rancho and speak with a family because I couldn't understand a thing they were saying, and it took me like 10 minutes to form a sentence. So that was hard, and it was hard to be away from my family. It was hard to be away from, you know, a good solid group of friends, but, you know, and look around and realize that your best friend is 8 years old. But that was really tough at the beginning. But you gotta make yourself come out of it, because you gotta talk to yourself and say, look, you're gonna be here for a year, and you gotta at some point get out of your shell. You know, start forcing yourself to speak Spanish. Sit here and listen to your family, even if you don't understand a word. It's gonna eventually soak in. So it was hard to. It's hard to come out of that room sometimes in the morning, or it was. This is my bedroom in here. I do have my own room. This room is my getaway. I love it. I love it because the kids all come hang out in here, and they feel really comfortable in here, but it's also like when I need my own space, my own time, I can shut my door and read and do my lesson planning and whatever I need for myself. Also, something about this house is the walls don't meet the ceiling. In pretty much every room of the house, the walls don't meet the ceiling. So whether you're in the shower, in the bathroom, in your room, in the kitchen, you can pretty much hear anyone in the house. If you flip on a light in the last room, you can see it in the kitchen. And so that's kind of a problem. It's kind of a problem for the bathroom, but you get used to it after a while. This family has, you know, taught me everything about the culture, taught me Spanish, you know, been there for my ups and downs, and your family's always there for you. I adore my family. I think it's the most incredible way to get into a culture, is living with a family, because you eat, sleep, drink, and breathe them, and you learn their language, you learn their customs, you learn everything about them.
Desayuno que toma, fresco en lugar de café, no toma café. ¿A dónde va a ir? Ah, no, pero venga, desayune un poquito, venga, vamos un fresco. Venga, Maya. Vayan cogiendo, vayan sirviéndose. Por eso está ese relleno ahí en la tierra.
Goodbye.
Hasta luego. Santa Rosa is one of the world's richest biological sites. Sí, que es un lugar muy dichoso. Ice cream cone. ¿Estos son qué? French fries. Tired and you know it's go to sleep. If you're tired and you know it's go to sleep. If you're tired and you know it, then your face will surely show. You gotta come here if you're ready to tackle your utmost insecurities. Your utmost. You gotta be ready to get what's the phrase? Become comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's a good idea if you want to get to know another culture, if you want to be a part of a family, be a role model for your students, and then get to know yourself, get to know what you're made out of. Walk into a huge school where you don't really know the language and they don't know your language, and you gotta somehow communicate to the parents that you are going to be the English teacher for the year, and they should trust you to teach their kids English.
We are here today to present to you some of what we have learned in our 6 years of English with the World Teach program. Buenos días, maestros, familias, estudiantes.
But I plan on just starting to try to orient myself back to who I was and remember who I am this year and hopefully make a different person. There's so many things I've learned about myself this year that I can't live without now. Every step of the way you learn something about yourself, and I mean the confidence that I learned here, the patience, the assurance, everything. I feel that it'll definitely like help change who I am and mold the new Maria that I'm gonna meet when I come back home. How lucky am I that I've gotten to experience this kind of thing, to be with these people who are so grateful to have you. This little town of 500 people that you're the only American in town, and they're always welcoming. But I know that like they've totally made a mark on me, and how the person that I want to be and what I've learned from them, and hopefully I'll be able to take a lot of stuff that I've learned about myself that they've showed me, and take it back to the States with me. This town is just amazing.
The foundation of any World Teach experience is building relationships with people in the new home country and communicating across cultures and languages. Language can be a concern to many volunteers who worry about how they'll communicate once they arrive in their country.
At that time, he spoke very slowly because he was afraid that people wouldn't understand him.
Stores at Kunguma.
Yeah, I know what it is. I just cannot say it very well.
Learning a foreign language by immersion is very effective and creates a more intimate way of getting to know people and their culture.
是我父亲在这里建的。
你的父亲干什么？
不知道，在博物馆里肯定有，我认为是有的。
And I say, you spoke like Forrest Gump. Yeah.
Nelson Mandela once said, "When you speak in your language, you speak to a person's head. But when you speak in their language, you can speak to their heart." Most volunteers find that as their language abilities develop, their relationships widen and gain depth. For volunteers who serve in Latin America, one of the core relationships is with their host family.
I'm Juan Carlos. I'm Harry's Ecuadorian brother. I think it's a good experience having this cultural exchange. It's a very good opportunity to know the North American culture in a real way.
Meanwhile, volunteers serving in other countries build their own sense of family through friendships with their colleagues, students, and community members. And then there is always the World Teach family, a Boston area home office, a full-time field director in each country who aids the volunteers throughout the year, and a network of fellow volunteers who arrive together, train together, visit each other frequently, and often travel together during holidays. Friendships form between people from very different backgrounds and even different countries, since many volunteers are not from the U.S.
Me, Matt, and Brian, we took a road trip up to Tanzania through Botswana, Namibia, and Zambia. And that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life.
They say if you can remain open and engaged, language and relationships will follow. And in a country like China, it is most definitely worth the wait.
China is now an open and changing nation, and we want to develop our abilities to communicate well with the outside world. Our goal is to increase the number of Chinese with good, strong English skills. We teach English from the 3rd grade on, but we need world-teach instructors to teach the conversational skills. We welcome them wholeheartedly.
To be an economic power, it is very important to do some relationship with the outside world. So English is a kind of very important tool for us to communicate with other countries, especially the developed countries.
They want us to come here and be oral English teachers, to teach them how to speak better English. Their grammar is very good, and they have teachers to teach them that, and the time that I have with them is they consider, and I consider, very precious because they don't have a chance to speak to native English speakers very often. So when I'm here, they have a chance to hear proper English spoken, just the way words are pronounced.
Before I came to China, I never realized, or I never paid attention to the tones that we do have in English and how much it makes a difference on a sentence, you know, where you put a stress on a word. You know, you could say, well, you were supposed to get me a red book, instead of you were supposed to get me a red book. It's two totally different things.
Western influences are coming in more and more and more. Import-export companies are very important. If these students want to eventually work with the outside world, they're going to have to start to think in a different way. And so the schools are starting to allow for different ways of thinking in the fact that they have us come here. They let us in front of their students. They let us try experimental teaching methods. They let us create our own curriculum.
Okay, today guys, we're going to play Jeopardy. You all remember how to play. 4 categories as before. The U.S.
Alaska.
Football.
Portugal.
Portugal, yes. And other.
It's 6 sides.
6 sides, yes.
你好 ，Hello。Hello。
How are you today? Fine. Today, we're going to go what we call back to basics. We're going to practice making some of the sounds that many of us know, but we want to practice to become a little bit better. This.
This.
That.
That.
These.
These.
Those.
Those.
China has a long history, and art and drawing, music is art and music is very important for us. That's a great treasure for us, for Chinese.
Banquets in Yantai are very important. It shows respect to your guests. It shows that you are a good host. It shows that you are welcoming people into your home, your community, your life. Very few things happen without a banquet to make it official. Banquets are very interesting. It's really interesting to see the social structure of how things are set up. A banquet consists of a small room with a large round table, and you go inside the door. The host of the banquet will sit directly opposite the door, kind of welcoming people in. The guest of honor will sit to his right, and the second guest will sit to his left. The second host will sit directly across from him, and the other guests are kind of spread out in between. One of the main things that goes on in a banquet in Yantai, which is very old school, is drinking. The more they have you drink, the better. For one thing, they think it's fun, and they want to toast you with as many opportunities, with as many different things as they can. It's important how you do things in the banquet. You can't drink on your own. You have your teacup. You can drink from your teacup whenever you like, but never touch the alcohol glass without being toasted or without making a toast yourself. And you drink as much as the person toasting you drinks. So if he ganbeis, ganbei is a good phrase to know. If he knocks it back, then you should knock it back as well. If he drinks half, you drink half. If he takes a sip, you take a sip. If you can't do it, you can't do it, but that's the goal. And it's highly entertaining, I have to say. The dishes come around, and the host will serve the first guest and the second guest the first bite of each dish as it comes, and then it's really as you like, take it as you like. And it's best also not to finish all the food on one plate, because if you finish the food on one plate, it shows that they didn't order enough, and they'll have to order another because they haven't treated you right. So if there's a dish you really like and there's one bite left in front of you, it's best to just leave it there, unless you want a whole new one ordered. And you just go directly from plate to mouth. Banquets are a lot of fun, and you always leave feeling very full and generally very happy. When I first found World Teach on the internet, I knew nothing about it. I was just looking for a way to go abroad, to spend some time out of the country, have a cool experience, do the exotic thing. And World Teach seemed to fit because it was something that gave me the opportunity to go abroad and with structure. I would not have been able to go abroad on my own with no knowledge of the country without an organization to give me that support. And it's now been about 4 years where it's been the 6-month program with World Teach. Every 6 months, I meet with the Education Committee, and the Education Committee is made up of a group of 5 or 6 men. They tell me what schools need teachers, which schools can afford teachers, the schools pay for our salaries, and what the living arrangement will be like. And then the field director, who happens to be me right now, goes around, makes sure that it's all adequate, and set it up. If it goes well, we try to keep a teacher there over the years, and it's worked out well. And whenever there's a problem or I need a visa or the school's not doing something right or this is missing, that is missing, I go to the Education Committee and they take care of it. It's a good friendship, a good partnership. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, sometimes a lot of resentment because we don't understand the differences between the cultures, the differences in our education systems. So that's the main difference. We go for individuality and they go for group cohesion.
A lot of my friends and my family thought I was pretty crazy, and I'm sure a lot of them still really don't understand what was in my head or why I came. Oftentimes I don't understand why I came, but I guess that's the fun part.
By coming here to China, I experienced it. I interacted with the people.
I am the only Western person in this town.
Many, many doors opened that I didn't even know existed. And it's a path that I'll continue down.
I'm trying to both be a good teacher to them and be a good student of China and the culture and the language and everything. It's a vastly different place than America, which makes it both wonderful and terrible all at the same time.
I'd like to come back.
China's still in me, so I'm returning to study in Beijing, study Chinese in February.
So it's a situation where I enjoy what I'm doing, I enjoy where I am. I'm still learning a lot about the language, the culture, and it seemed like just too good of a thing to walk away from, so soon. And they've invited me back, so I'd like to stay.
Yeah. Oh, it kind of grows on you in a crazy kind of way. Definitely.
Globalization has been widely acclaimed for removing barriers of all types, commercial, informational, even cultural, in a way that creates not only a single global market, but even the oft-praised global village. But when one dissects this global village, it doesn't take long to conclude that, culturally speaking, globalization often translates into the ever-widening spread of westernization. It is precisely because the effects of globalization tend to be so homogenizing that some prospective World Teach volunteers worry about how teaching English in developing countries could contribute to the process of cultural erosion. Perhaps more than any other, this question reflects the tension between the modern processes and products of globalization and the more ancient forces of culture, tradition, and community. This remains a difficult question, and many volunteers choose to teach from the perspective of the potent and positive force that access to the English language, computers, and environmental knowledge can have for people of that country.
This will give us the 10% discount that we want.
Preparing their students for whatever role they wish to play on the world stage is what many World Teach volunteers will consider their legacy as a teacher in the developing world.
My full name is Harry Dolman, and I'm in Riobamba, Ecuador at the Universidad Nacional de Chimborazo.
My name is Kate Karnick.
My name is Mac Garlick, and we're in San Cristobal, Galapagos, my new home.
I teach at the University of Cuenca. It's a huge university. It's got 10,000 students.
I have classes that are super great, super friendly,
You know what I mean? And I have other classes that it's like a zoo.
I have one class that's all secretaries, which is kind of interesting. They tend to be about 18, 20 years old, and it's all women. And then I have another class which is all English teachers, people who actually teach English or who are getting their degrees so that they will be English teachers. But they're all Ecuadorian.
You know, I'm sort of in charge of me, so I can make it fun, I can make it boring, I can make it, you know, I can make it a mix of both. And, you know, World Teach tries to emphasize to make it fun, you know what I mean? So I'll give a grammar lesson, we'll do activities, do something fun, we'll do a game.
I usually go to our community center, maybe broom, clean up a little bit, start looking over lesson plans for the day, and if we have a meeting that day, meetings, otherwise go straight to class.
My favorite class is my class of professionals, and I was probably most nervous to go into that class because I'm so young. And
I'm usually there for a couple hours each morning, and the mornings I don't have class there, I'm usually over at the beach, either cleaning up or working on something.
So I felt like I got up there and I was just this little kid, but they're great. They're respectful, they're enthusiastic. We have a great time.
I chose Ecuador because it was a country that I knew that I wanted to visit, and I was lucky enough to be put here in Galapagos. And I didn't really know how lucky I was till I got here. It's a pretty incredible place.
I was interested in coming to a Spanish-speaking country because I really wanted to get my Spanish together.
I was looking through the internet for jobs to teach overseas, but it's difficult to get a job overseas from the United States, you know, if you don't have certain requirements and stuff like that.
Because I just like the idea of coming to this place that my dad had always told me was so great. Then I decided to stay a second year
because I already knew a lot of Spanish when I came down here. And so I didn't really hit the language barrier. And I think the language barrier is the first thing that you hit.
It took about 6 months to make friends and to really get settled here and to feel like my Spanish was good enough to pursue friendships and relationships and things like that.
After the language barrier, you're going to run into the culture barrier. And that's something that's a little bit more difficult to overcome.
You never really know. You never really know what's going to happen.
Well, I don't think you can overcome it, really, because you never stop being what you are. You never stop being an American, or you never stop being, no matter how many things you pick up locally. You know, you eat the ají or whatever, or your rhythm of the day, no matter how much it changes, you know, you still never stop becoming, you never stop being what you are, you know. You can't unlearn what you are. You can't unbe what you are.
I love the idea of staying and enjoying myself and enjoying everything that I had worked for.
I usually spend Sunday over at the grandmother's house. And it's funny that the grandmother feels bad. She can't believe that I'm an only child. And she feels bad that I have no brothers or sisters. So she's taking me into her family, you know what I mean?
This town probably, the entire population of this town probably makes less money in a year than maybe my father might, but I know that if I were to go into anyone's house here in town, I'd have a plate of lobster and a glass of juice without even asking for it, and there's something to be said for that.
It can be a little too traditional and too conservative, but sometimes I really like that it's traditional because I feel like I'm getting this really authentic experience.
So what I did was, with the help of my host dad, was to open up the community center and decorate it, and then through the radio announce English classes for the community. And we had an incredibly good response.
The turtle Good.
It's pretty safe, which is nice, especially being a foreign woman. I'm able to do things that most women here aren't really able to do. I'm able to go out with my friends. I can interact with men on sort of a buddy level.
At this point, you know, I'm on my own. I'm in my site. I don't work for the World Teach program. I work for the university. And so the day-to-day activities of, you know, of my job, you know, I deal with them. I handle them myself.
Okay, who remembers the proverbs from yesterday?
Just a couple days ago, it was Halloween actually, and like I said, the class meets at night. So I went and I bought some candles, and we got into the classroom and I turned out all the lights and we lit the candles, and we passed the candles around and told ghost stories.
We try and do everything based on the environment and the things that are here on this island.
And they passed the candles around and everybody had a ghost story, and it was great.
The idea really between us teaching English is to help develop the tourism infrastructure here in Galapagos.
I feel like I'm involved in life, you know what I mean? I'm doing things that professional adult people do, you know what I mean? I have my job, I go to my job, they have meetings, they give me responsibilities.
But I feel like there's nothing about what I do every day that's a waste of my time. Because even if I just go out on the street and go into some store and buy some stupid thing that I need to buy for my life, at least I'm doing it in Spanish, and I'm in this other country, and I'm interacting with people who have a totally different experience of life than I have. So I feel like it's really worthwhile.
I like the World Teach program a lot. I would encourage people to join it.
I think it's a good organization, and I think that it has good intentions and that it's doing good things in the country.
I think it's an easy and structured way to live in another culture.
But I really do like the advantages of the blanket organization of World Teach. First of all, if I have a problem, I can call the director and he can help me, which is really good. Second of all, a lot of the legal stuff is much easier because I've gone through World Teach, because they've helped me get my visas together and everything like that, which is great.
I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for someone to get an international perspective, because you really learn about yourself from the outside.
And sometimes in the States, I feel like I'm just kind of really wasting my time. And then I start to question, Kate, what are you doing? And I don't really do that here very much. I feel like it all means something.
And just the friendships that I've made and the chance I've had to spend with nature and with the people here are what I'll be able to take with me, whether I go back home or wherever I go from here.
I feel like I'm just going to keep having these experiences and continue growing and learning and questioning.
World Teach, I mean, it means a lot of different things for a lot of different people, and everyone has a different experience. I can only speak for my own. And personally, this has been probably one of the neatest years I've had in my life, and I could only wish it upon someone else.
One of the most rewarding aspects of a volunteer's year abroad is the visceral, experienced knowing of another culture. World Teach volunteers gain a depth of understanding and appreciation of other cultures that in turn globalizes them and allows them to act more effectively as informed and caring world citizens.
So this is a science group I started here called Picaro. We're studying the ozone here in Galapagos.
Living and working in this new environment gives volunteers the opportunity to see and inventory the underlying assumptions of their own beliefs and values, perhaps for the first time. Volunteers are encouraged to become involved in community projects outside their regular teaching responsibilities.
We also cover themes that are of particular social importance in Namibia as well as in the rest of the world. AIDS epidemic is a very big problem.
Over the years, World Teach volunteers have contributed thousands of additional volunteer hours to their host communities in a variety of ways. These projects form an important part of a volunteer's own growth and create the space for the community and the volunteer to share in an exciting and often crucial mutual project.
These schools are actually asking for World Teach. A lot of schools in Costa Rica have told me that they've heard about the program and they really want someone in their school. And it's such a welcoming feeling when someone says, "Oh, we're so glad you're here. You're a World Teach volunteer."
The connection or the link between World Teach and Africat Foundation has been great because the benefits to us are really, really big from the point of view that we have to have an education program.
Our administrators and teachers feel very satisfied. We get excellent feedback from all our schools regarding World Teach. We would like this collaboration between us to continue for a very long time, and in fact, we hope that there might be an expansion for the territory of World Teach services.
We will need to continue the service of upgrading the standard of our teachers, that is the serving teachers, and the World Teach volunteers will play a very vital role in this field.
Well, it's a key component because we can't expect to change things or change everybody without putting something in, and the youngsters are where it's all going to happen.
Some of the World Teach volunteers established the library, which we have now. They contributed a lot. They found money, and they sponsored the library. They built that library. It's due to them that we can say we have a library today.
It plays a very important role in trying to alleviate poverty.
Por eso yo creo que World Teach hace una...
For myself, I believe World Teach has had a big impact by sending volunteers who are mature, well-informed, and professional. They give a lot to this country and its youth. And by teaching an internationally used language, they give the youth an important doorway to the future.
We feel that working with the World Teach organization has been a great success. With very few World Teach teachers, we have seen a great effect on both students and for the Chinese teachers of English. We do not want to just have World Teach instructors teach a class, but we want to learn their new, more creative way of teaching. We want our students to develop their creative thinking.
I would say Namibia needs not 2, 3, 4, dozens of volunteers.
For the developing China, it is very important to cultivate our youth in both foreign language skills and in a cultural exchange. We hope World Teach will send even more teachers to China.
We don't have maths teachers, science teachers, English teachers, so I would definitely say there is a great need for volunteers.
I think that's the proof of it all is how excited the kids get about it, how much they learn, the responses we get from kids once they've left. As a barometer, the number of letters that come back to Victoria saying, they had a great time, they learned a lot. They often say what they learned, what they tried to change.
And the assistance that we got from World Teach volunteers has been really tremendous.
So we are very proud of them.
There's nothing more influential and effective than sending people down.
We definitely miss her if we lose her. I mean, she's a real asset to the organization.
It's a person with feelings and with ideas and with a heart.
Body and soul slowly breaking down, punctuated with those spaces between leaves, where afternoon sun finds its way into my soul, whispering Makalani poems, the tidal push and pull of moving air. My heart stops, lips parted, breath gone, reality still. Another second on the crease between now and later, and I'm gone. I studied Africa a lot, but it wasn't until I came here that you realize that the source is incredibly diverse.
And that's how it is in Namibia. We have an amazing diversity of everything in Namibia, whether you're talking about ethnic groups, whether you're talking about geography, and whether you're talking about teaching assignments.
The diversity is amazing.
On this trip, we're going to be going south first, to the desert south.
This place is called Sossusvlei. It's some of the tallest sand dunes in the world. I understand they were formed 80 million years ago. It's not like anything I've ever seen before. We don't have any volunteers here, but most of our volunteers do enjoy traveling to Sossusvlei at one time or another. So this is just one of many totally unique, amazing places in Namibia. I mean, I started way down there at the bottom and I came all the way up here, so I'm working really hard today. That's why I like to sing this song. I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a working dog, I'm a hard-working dog. I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a working dog, I'm a hard-working dog. Yeah, I like my job.
quite a long way. It's about a 5-hour drive down here to Chess.
Welcome in Chess.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to be here. I've heard so much about this place.
The choral tradition for the Nama people is really fantastic. I was one of the reasons I was excited about coming here. They sing 4-part harmony like it's in their blood. It's really, really amazing. And they will take the song with them to whatever sort of experience in life they are going through. There is a song for all experiences. Really, it's amazing.
Then Mr. Williams, he also contributed a lot to the school. He was working with Brother Ignatius on a musical drama, Oliver. And it was the first time in history that we ever had such a thing at this school, at this community. So it's one of the big events, it's history that he made here at our school.
Singing is so much a part of the everyday life, whereas in the West maybe art, the play must go on, is the cliche. Well, here I think the cliche should be life must go on.
We're going to be bypassing Windhoek and coming all the way up here near Otjiwarongo.
The AfriCat Foundation is a nonprofit that seeks to protect large carnivores, and one of the ways they do this is through youth education, and that's my role. I'm the environmental educator for the Education Center, and I teach children in Namibia about mostly cheetahs and leopards.
That means the cheetah can run from this start sign to the very end where that big tree is. Okay, that's 28 meters in 1 second.
And I educate them about alternative farming methods and ways that they can protect these animals in the future.
I like monkeys and cheetahs. My favorite animal is leopard and cheetah. My favorite animal is leopard.
When I arrived here, the Education Center had just been built. They wanted to have an education program, but very little was established. So I basically had to establish the program at the Education Center. I had to get school groups to come, and then even establish the rest of the education program with material development, school outreach program, fundraising for education. I mean, I've basically taken something that had an idea and made it into reality.
My favorite animals are kutus.
In the 2 years that I've been here, I've taught close to 11,000 children.
My favorite animals are rabbit and cheetah.
But there's 1,500 schools in Namibia, and I've worked with about 150. So I could stay for at least 50 more years, and then maybe I can start at the first school again.
Then we continue north to the hot, hot north here in Ondangwa.
Now you break dance.
Me, I love Kwasa Kwasa. All of my friends, my family, they know I love Kwasa Kwasa. I could dance to it forever. I'll learn, because I'm not very good. I'll learn from my neighbors' kids and my friends who are from Namibia. They'll show me some of the dance moves. Like my roots are here, like in Africa in general. And the primary impetus for me to come here was to sort of not only learn more about what my career objectives were, but also a lot of it was a spiritual and personal kind of transformation. And I think coming here has put me in touch with a lot of things that that are difficult to reconcile when you're in the United States. The way people move, the clothing, even the way your mouth moves when you're speaking the languages here. It's so familiar. So these are all part of the sources that have combined to make me who I am, and many other people who are living in the States, who they are.
Not everyone has the opportunity to work with kids that are great like this and are really in great need of having English instruction or instruction in drama or whatever it is. They would not have the opportunity to have some of these things if I weren't here, and I suppose that's what working in a developing country is all about when it's done right, I suppose.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that they were actually giving to me in their way. The way Namibia does give to you, it's not the same way that people give to you in the States. And it's actually, once people give to you in Namibia, it has much more meaning because it's, again, you've earned it, you've worked on it, and I think they want to give to you, and it has worth and meaning.
I have more questions now than answers, which is a good thing in a lot of ways. Before, I thought I had a lot of answers to some of the questions. I was looking for answers, but now I'm happy that I'm finding more and more questions.
As our awareness of our global interdependence grows, we realize that simple acts in service to the web of life do indeed have impact. This is the web, the real World Wide Web.
dog, I'm a hard-working dog. Yeah,